Yo guys, what is going on? My name is Vexelate, but you could call me Nick, and today I'm bringing you a tier list video. This is something I've actually never done. I'm bringing you a tier list video on every Eminem album. Over this past month or so, I've went on Spotify just while I'm driving or just hanging out doing whatever. I wanted to listen to every Eminem album in a row because Eminem, I've listened to him since I was like 10. I've always really liked his music, but there are still songs I haven't heard of, and I decided, you know what? This could be a cool video idea. Let's go through every album so I could just add more songs to my playlist and eventually rank them and review them, which is what this video is. I didn't make this tier list. I could have made one on like a photo editing application, but it's just easier to move them around on something like this. Real quick, I'm not going to be including Music to Be Murdered by Side A, and I'm not going to be including Eminem's Infinite, because Infinite is not like easily accessible on Apple Music or Spotify, and Music to Be Murdered by A is the same exact album as Side B, just Side B has an additional 16 tracks on a separate disc. Another thing I want to clarify real quick is at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion. I know some people, like the internet's busiest music nerd, will try to tell you what music is good and bad objectively, and there's a little bit of a truth to that. You know, there are songs that can just be objectively bad. They could be mixed objectively bad. Like the sound can be bad, the quality of the sound can be bad. You know, the flow can be bad. But with someone like Eminem, that's not really going to happen. It's just more so personal preference. So at the end of the day, if you think this tier list is wrong, I'm not telling you that these are the best albums objectively. I think so, but it doesn't mean it's the same for you. I really want to clarify that. And I'm not going to be as harsh on these as I am in my game reviews. My game reviews, I'm really harsh on games because I know how to review games very well. Music, not so much. This is more so just subjectivity instead of objectivity. So we're going to go right down the row, right in order, starting with the Slim Shady LP. And we have 5 tiers, S, A, B, C, and D. You know, I liked 5 for this one because there's just middle of the road, above average, below average, terrible, and amazing. That's how I look at it. So the Slim Shady LP, his first album, well, technically Infinite's his first album, but we're not ranking that one. Where am I going to throw this one? I'm actually going to throw this one all the way up in S tier. I think this album is perfect. I have Spotify open on my second monitor just to look at his discography and talk about the songs and albums better, but I do not think the Slim Shady LP has one bad song, and I also like the what do you call it? Like the diversity of the types of songs he has. He has funny songs like My Name Is and Guilty Conscience and As the World Turns and I'm Shady. But then he's also got, you know, kind of like, you know, more, I don't want to say depressing, but like those kinds of songs, like dark, meaningful songs. Like he's got Rock Bottom on it and 97 Bonnie and Clyde on it, Brain Damage. Every song on this album is good. There's not one bad beat. There's not one bad song, in my opinion. But yeah, I really don't think there's one bad song. I like the skits. The skits tie in with this album well, and it really just does nothing wrong. Every single song serves a purpose, and I enjoy them all. So that takes us to the Marshall Mathers LP. This is his second album. Where's this one going to rank compared to the first? I'm throwing it up in S tier as well. It's not as good as the Slim Shady LP in my opinion, but it's basically the same thing as the Slim Shady LP, but just different. What a great description I just made right there. But you know, the same things I said for the Slim Shady LP can apply to the Marshall Mathers LP. I like the diversity of the types of songs because he's got the funny songs, he's got the angry songs, and that's one of my favorite things about this album is unlike in the first album, the Marshall Mathers LP kind of has more of an aggressive, angry tone towards the world in his songs, which I appreciate, but he's also still got the funny songs, and he's also still got the serious songs. So like for the funny songs, you got The Real Slim Shady, that's an all-time classic. You got Criminal, that's a really funny song in my opinion. Drug Ballad, that's another good one. But then you also got the serious ones like Stan, that's an all-time classic. Stan, who like, you know, that's like one of his most classic songs. For the other serious songs, you got like Marshall Mathers. You got like Kim, which is like a weird in between like aggression, joking, and serious. Like that one's I really like that song. Kind of. I really like that song, but you can't listen to it too much. The only problem with this album, why it ranks below the Slim Shady LP, is there is a few songs that I would skip over. There's not one song I would skip over in the Slim Shady LP. I would listen to every single song. There's a few I would skip on the Marshall Mathers LP. Bitch Please 2, featuring Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and all those people, I would skip over. Amityville, not a fan of that song at all, I won't even lie. Remember Me is decent, but I don't think I'd add it to a playlist. But every other song I really, really enjoy. So that takes us to his third album, The Eminem Show. And oh my God, do I have such a hard time trying to rank this. I'm not going to rank it yet. Let's just talk about it and see how I feel. So this song or this album has more songs I would skip over than the other two I've ranked so far. Like White America is okay. It's not a bad song by any means, but I don't like it too much. But, there's songs like that more so in this album than the others so far. Square Dance, not a good song in my opinion. Drips, really not a good song in my opinion. But other than that, Say What You Say is average. This album's actually pretty good. There's only those few songs that are eh. Everything else, Business, really good, catchy song. It's got that, classic Eminem, you don't want to bop your head to it type beat. And, you got some of his classics in here. You got Cleaning Out My Closet. I like that we get to see more into the mind of like Marshall Mathers as a person in this album. Cleaning Out My Closet talks about his personal life. You got Sing for the Moment, which is another one of those like super personal, like meaningful songs. You got Haley's song, which is like super unique for Eminem, and I really appreciate that song. Till I Collapse is another one of his all-time classics. But then you also got really good songs that aren't as classic, like Superman, one of my favorite songs by him in my opinion. And you got When the Music Stops featuring D12, that's another really good one. The song with Haley, My Dad's Gone Crazy, that's a really good one. I originally was going to place it in A tier, but I think it goes in S tier because it really only has 2 or 3 songs that I'm skipping. White America, I wouldn't even skip. I just wouldn't add it to a playlist. Square Dance, I probably would skip. Soldier, I wouldn't skip, but Drips by Eminem and Obi Trice, I'm definitely skipping. But other than that, I can listen to the album in its entirety. I thought that was going to be A tier, but it's actually going in S tier. So that takes us to Encore, and this is one of the hardest ones to rank in my opinion. I'm reviewing the deluxe editions for all these albums, by the way. This song or this album is okay. It starts out kind of average. Evil Deeds, Never Enough, and Yellow Brick Road, okay. Like Toy Soldiers is another one of those, every so often I love the Eminem, just personal, legitimate, real brain and heart of Eminem type songs. Like Toy Soldiers, that's another perfect example of it. And Puke is another one of those like Superman, Kim song type songs, you know what I mean? Which is always good. I like that. I like the, not the repetition, but he has those types of songs that you can kind of group together and they're all different and they all sound really good. But then you also have a bunch of actually, no, let me continue. There are some other good songs like One Shot, Two Shot. That's another great D12 feature. He's got Love You More, which is all right. One of those like serious type songs. Mockingbird, one of his all-time classics. Mockingbird's a really good song. But then you got a lot of questionable songs. Like Mosh isn't that good in my opinion. My First Single, average. Then you get into the weird things like Rain Man, where at the end of the song, he's like, I just rapped for 5 minutes about nothing, you idiots, or something like that. And then you got songs like Big Weenie and Just Lose It and Ass Like That. And, things like that, it's not one of his best albums, I'll be honest. I don't know if it goes in A tier or B tier because I can't rank these albums based off individual songs. I have to rank them as the album as an entirety because I love Like Toy Soldiers. I love the song Puke. Rain Man's decent too. Mockingbird, I absolutely love. One Shot, Two Shot, I absolutely love. But the entirety of the album, I think it has to go into B tier. I know it has really good songs on it, but it also the entirety of the album goes into B tier. But those songs on its own, like Toy Soldiers and Puke and Mockingbird, could be S tier. But the album in its entirety has to go into B tier. So that moves us on to Relapse. And Relapse is just showing the regular Relapse. I listened to Relapse Refill, which has the second disc. And the second disc does save this album in a little bit. But I'm just going to be straight up honest. This one's got to go in D tier. I can't beat around the bush. I think everybody knows this is a D tier album. Eminem even says this is a D tier album. But there are some redeeming qualities about this album, in my opinion. There's some good songs. 3 a.m., some people like. I'm really not a big fan of it. We Made You with Jessica Simpson, that's one of his popular ones off the album. Not too big of a fan of it myself. Medicine Ball, I think, is an actual funny song because he mentions Christopher Reeves in so many songs, and he gives Christopher Reeves a verse in this song, and I found that hilarious. I did add that to my playlist. Deja Vu, I really, really like that song. Deja Vu just really has a good beat, and, I like the chorus a lot. Beautiful, one of his, really... It does not fit this album at all. Beautiful is, a really serious, gloomy, like legit into the mind of Eminem, like depression type songs, and I really like it, but I didn't know how it got on this album because it just does not fit the album as an entirety. But then you get Disc 2, and you get the song like Forever with Drake, Kanye, and Lil Wayne. That's obviously a really good song. And it also comes with My Darling, which kind of gives me the vibe of like the Marshall Mathers LP 2, Bad Guy, how he's like talking to the demon inside his head. Those two songs I really, really enjoy. But the album as its entirety has to go into D tier. But there are redeeming songs on it, don't get me wrong. That takes us to Recovery. And I'm going to start out by saying I think Recovery isn't as good as we remember it. There are really good songs on it, don't get me wrong, like Cold Wind Blows, Talking to Myself, Going Through Changes, Not Afraid, that's got to be one of his all-time classics. No Love with Lil Wayne, one of his best verses of all time. Spacebound, one of his most meaningful songs. I've loved that song ever since I heard it. And then you got songs like Cinderella Man, 25 to Life, things like that. Love the Way You Lie with Rihanna. There's a lot of good songs on this. But listening to the album in its entirety, the songs all kind of blend together. Like, I like some of these songs, like Cold Wind Blows, Talking to Myself, Going Through Changes, some of these songs that are somewhat new to me, 25 to Life, Cinderella Man. Just because they're somewhat new to me, because I like didn't really dive in this album until I started listening to them all to do this video. Right now, as they stand, I couldn't really distinguish them apart. They all kind of blend in with each other. And Recovery, all the songs kind of do that. But I do really, really like the story Recovery tells. The meaning behind Recovery is an absolutely great one. The only con is that all the songs kind of sound the same, and it's a bit of a basic rhyme scheme, and well, not always, because you got like that Lil Wayne verse from Eminem, and that was tremendous. But some of the other songs just kind of, they all start to blend into each other and things like that. And there also are some bad songs on this, like On Fire, I thought was just not good. WTP, White Trash Party, Seduction, You know, there are some skippable songs in this album. There is a funny line about Ben Roethlisberger in a bathroom stall, so I'll give it a. That's not why I'm giving it a B tier, but that really stood out to me. The line about Ben Roethlisberger really made me laugh. So yeah, Recovery gets a B tier. I feel like most people put it in A tier, so I wanted to explain why I throw it in B tier. So let's move on to the Marshall Mathers LP 2. His most underrated album of all time? Question mark. This is I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna open up. I'm insanely biased towards this album. This is the only album I've ever pre-purchased, I've ever waited for, and only like purchased in general in my life. I was like, when this came out in 2013, I was 12 years old, and I was so hyped for this album. It's the only album I've ever bought, so it holds a special place in my heart. But bias aside, there are tons of good songs on this album. Bad Guy, what a tremendous opener to an album. That song is so good, how it follows up with Stan from the Marshall Mathers LP 1. The storytelling is so good. The end, the outro of Bad Guy, he's like, I don't remember what it says off the top of my head. He's like trying to recapture that lightning trapped in a bottle twice, blah, and he's like, let's pick up where the last Mathers left off, you know, things like that. It just kind of sets a precedence for Eminem coming back into the rap game in general. And then there's good songs like Rhyme or Reason's decent, So Much Better, really good song, Survival, really good song, Legacy, one of those really good, deep, real, legitimate like feelings of Eminem type song. Asshole with Skylar Grey is a good song. Berserk is a good song. Rap God, obviously an all-time classic. Brainless, that one gets skipped over a lot, but Brainless is really good in my opinion. Stronger Than I Was is one of those personal, touchy-feely type songs, but I still like it. We got another Eminem and Rihanna collab on The Monster, but then after that, it kind of starts to become skippable. Like So Far, Love Game with Kendrick Lamar, very disappointing collab in my opinion. But then you got Headlights with Nate Roos, I think is how you pronounce it, and that's a really good song. It kind of shows, I hate to say it, like the growth of Eminem as a person, but how much of it is a person, how much of it is a character when he's saying he hates his mom. You know, that's only for him to know. But then you got songs like Baby, Desperation, Groundhog Day, Beautiful Pain, Wicked Ways. All of those are somewhat skippable. So I really, really love this album, and it holds a special place in my heart, but it has to go in A tier. And it hurts so bad, I want to put it in an S tier so bad. But I don't think it's on the same tier as these three albums right here, because there's so many good songs in a row. Like I said, the first 12 songs on this album, Absolute bangers in my opinion. But then you get Love Game with Kendrick Lamar and Evil Twins, decent. But Baby, Desperation, Groundhog Day, Beautiful Pain with Sia. I can't give it an S tier when there's that many songs I just don't find enjoyable. But man, those good songs hold such a good place in my heart, and this album holds such a good place in my heart. The good songs are S tier. All of them are S tier. But there are a few skippable songs, unfortunately. And it kills me to put it in A tier. It genuinely hurts me, but it goes in A tier. Because the bad songs aren't even terrible, but they're just nothing too great. And if I put it in S tier, I think I'd just be way too overly biased and not being objective. But yeah. Revival. Oh man, where do you put Revival? This album sucked. I hated this album. Not even just for its like terrible political takes, but it's like the beats aren't good. The rhyme schemes are eh. I know some people disagree. Like I know someone watching this will disagree. Like the Ed Sheeran feature is not even that good. The Beyonce feature is not good. Alicia Keys feature, even the Skylar Grey song's not that good. But Castle and The Rose at the end are very, very good. I'll be honest. But everything else sucks. Everything else is really, really bad. Like even putting the political things aside, Untouchable by Eminem, disagree or agree with the political take, I think that's a decent song. I think the rhyme scheme and the beat and everything in that song are good. I don't like the lyrics so much, just that's opinion based, but like that's a good song. Like I could look through the bias of like the message there, but even then it's like there's not many songs like that on this album. That's like the only one that even has like a good beat, and everything else just is really not good. But I really don't. It's D tier. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it's worse than Relapse. I really, really don't know, because Relapse has has better songs because there's more songs, and Relapse Refill. Let me remind you, is 2 hours long. This is an hour and 17 minutes long, and sitting through 2 hours of Relapse is definitely harder than sitting through an hour and 17 of Revival. Because at least Revival ended off on a really good note with Castle and a Rose. I really, really enjoyed those songs. I think I have to put Revival slightly above Relapse, but they both suck. I wouldn't, don't get me wrong, because I do think Relapse has better songs, but the album in its entirety, Revival's a bit easier to sit through. It is, just because it's not as long, and the accents on Relapse are kind of annoying after a while. So I think that's the right placement. So that leaves us with 2 albums. Kamikaze. I didn't really listen to this one until 2022, honestly, tell you the truth, 4 years later. And oh my God, is this a good album? I didn't realize how good of an album this was. This one's going straight up to A tier. I have to put it in A tier because it's short for an Eminem album. Usually his albums average around an hour and a half. This one's 45 minutes, and it only has 13 songs. But don't get me wrong, I think every single song on this album's good except for a few. Nice Guy and Good Guy, some of the worst songs from Eminem. Absolutely awful. Venom, super mid, maybe like slightly below average. But in Stepping Stone's kind of okay. But don't get me wrong, The Ringer, greatest, insanely good. Lucky You featuring Joyner Lucas might be my favorite Eminem song of all time. Normal, really, really good. Not Alike, Kamikaze, and Fall, all really, really good songs. But I can't place it any higher than this. I don't think it's better than the Marshall Mathers LP 2, just because it's short, and for a 13-song album, 4 of them are eh. Good Guy and Nice Guy are straight up garbage. Would never listen to them ever again. Venom, very repetitive. I know it was for a movie, so he's kind of limited, but that one's not too good. It's okay, but every verse starts with like, let us in, let the demon in, or whatever the fuck it started with. And I'm like, why? Like, I get it's for a music video or a movie, whatever. And Stepping Stone isn't too good, but it's not too bad. So that leaves us with Music to Be Murdered by Side B. And I'm just gonna be honest, it's gonna go straight into C tier. I'm not gonna beat around the bush on this one. It's gonna go in C tier because Side B saved it. Side B has some good songs. Black Magic's a decent song. Alfred's Theme's a really good song. Tone Deaf is a really good song. Book of Rhymes is actually pretty good. Favorite Bitch with Ty Dolla $ign's a good song. Nat, really good song. That's about it though. Higher, overrated in my opinion. Killer, overrated in my opinion. Zeus, really overrated in my opinion. Discombobulated is decent. But what's the other one? What's the other one I liked? She Loves Me. That's a good one. But disc 2, it's listenable. Like it's nothing that I would completely skip over, but like there's nothing too special on it. I know, cuz here's the thing, the beats are good and like but the whole gimmick was like look how fast I can rap. And I'm not one of those people that just fall for that. Like Godzilla, when I listen to it, I'm like I like it, but it's a bit overrated. It's not like people are like, "Oh my god, Godzilla." And I'm sure it's just mostly because of the Juice World feature, but it's like, this song isn't like goat Eminem songs like some people say. And yeah, there's some really questionable songs on the side A, but other than that, I think that's a fair placement. Side B saved it. Honestly, if there was no side B, it might go in D tier. But side B has all the good songs. And yeah, I can't place it any higher than C tier just because the songs, kind of like Recovery, they all start to kind of blend in with each other. But at least Recovery, like, there are like those meaningful, impactful, really good songs. Side A doesn't really have that. So that's my tier. That's my tier list. The top 5: Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, The Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP 2, Kamikaze, top 5. Yeah, I'd listen everything above B tier and above. I would say is worth a listen. These 3, I definitely think you can skip out on. I'm actually very happy with my placements. I think I did a good job. Let me know what you guys thought. How long is this video? I feel like I've been talking forever. 22 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, if you're still watching after all of that, drop a comment. What's your favorite Eminem album? What's your least favorite Eminem album? If you guys enjoyed this, I'm more than willing to just sit here and listen to entire like discographies from other artists. Like I'm thinking maybe Joyner Lucas or Logic or Mac Miller I might do next. If you have a recommendation and I'm willing to do it, if it's something I'm into, let me know in the comments down below. I'll definitely do it. So yeah, that's that. You know how YouTube works. Like, comment, yada, yada, yada. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.